Okay. So I'll just share my screen also. Today I have made one PPT also for you people. Okay, so see how much time I'm investing. But you people are, except for Ramya, I can say that you people are not giving proper attention to the labs and everything. Okay, but now it is starting, but try to.
Sir, today I tried ADDS.
Okay, so what?
Oh, up to user. I created up to user, sir. After that, automatically RDP was disconnected and cannot connect to the remote computer for one of the reasons I got.
Okay, so were you able to connect your local means client machine to the Active Directory?
Sir,
Were you able to, like, we need to create two machines.
yes,
So
sir.
on one machine, like we are installing Active Directory domain service, and on that machine we were creating the users. And on
Yeah,
the
yeah, yes.
second machine we were making it as client machine. That machine we were joining to that lab.com domain. So were you able to join your second machine to the look to that lab.com domain?
Yes, sir.
Okay, okay.
I did.
So okay, so it
After
is
that,
fine. Hmm.
it's came.
Okay. So okay, it's fine. At least try to complete till here. You should know how to join a computer to a domain. Okay, this is very basic. Okay, in interviews, if you are not able to answer these questions, now they will never get the impression that you have worked in infrastructure domain or IT domain. Okay, because the person who is hired as a fresher, now they are doing these tasks. Okay, so if you are presenting yourself as someone who is working in Azure for around 3 years, so if you are not able to answer these questions in interview now, they will simply cut off the interview at that moment only. Okay, they won't ask you another set of questions. Okay, so that's why at least basics should be clear. Okay, so it's fine. You people can take time, but try to complete. Okay, okay. So is my screen visible?
It's yes,
Okay. So today I created these PPTs also. I thought like it will give you some better visibility and everything. So yeah. So we discussed about Azure AD. We'll discuss everything in brief for 10 to 15 minutes and then we'll continue with our topics. Okay. So yeah. Yeah. Coming to what is Microsoft Entra ID. Okay, it is also known as Azure Active Directory. Okay, and what it is? It is Microsoft's cloud-based identity and access management service. Okay, it provides the identity identity of your organization. If your organization name is Cognizant, so it will provide an identity of your organization on the cloud environment. Okay, so if you want to set up your organization on the cloud environment, whether it is AWS, GCP, or Azure, so you need to have your own identity on the cloud environment. Okay, so how do you get your own company's identity on the cloud? You get it through this service, Microsoft Entra ID service or Azure ID service. Okay, and what does it does? So it stores identities and controls who can sign it into what from anywhere or any device. So basically what it does, how it provides you the identity and access management service is, it firstly what it does, it gives you an space wherein you can do the custom domain verification. Okay, from the GoDaddy. And once you have your domain with the name of cognizant.com or contoshow.com ready, then what you can do, you can create user accounts, you can create groups, and through that through that information, you can basically allow who can sign into my organization, who can use what type of resource. Okay, so you are providing the identity through this credential, username and password, and based on the roles that we are assigning to users, you can control his access to our resources in our organization. Okay, so yeah, you can go through these points. I will share these PPT also. So it acts as an identity store. Okay, it stores all our identities, our user identity, our group's identity, our computer identity, our devices identity at a single place. Okay, so you can just go over here, a directory of user groups, devices and registered application. Even if we have some applications that we are using in our organization, like we are using workday application, we are using salesforce, ServiceNow, so what we can do, we can create application gallery for our organization. Okay, if suppose if our organization is using 40 applications, so we can create application gallery in our Microsoft Entra ID directory of our organization, and from there we can give the access to our users. We can give the access through groups or through users directly. That depends on us. Okay. And what is the next benefit that it provides? It provides the authentication. Who are you? It provides like your username and password. Through that, you can log into your organization's computer. Okay. It provides you authorize. It authorize you to access the company's resource. Okay, it controls the access. It provides you single sign-on facility. Yeah, this is the main benefit, or you can say one of the most important benefit that we are getting with Azure AD or Microsoft Entra ID, single sign-on feature. If suppose we have 40 applications, if we need to uh, log in into those 40 applications. Okay, so instead of having the username and password separately for those 40 applications, what does it provide? It provides a single sign-on. A single credential will work for all the 40 applications that we are using in our organization. Okay, we don't have to log in again and again. Currently also you people are working, and there also you must have seen, if suppose if they are using workday for attendance tracking, so you must have observed you don't need to log in into workday. Okay, you will be having one workday link. You will click on that link and you will automatically be inside your workday profile. Okay, you don't need to enter your credentials for that workday. Okay, so uh, the thing is, like, workday application is integrated through single sign-on feature in Microsoft Entra ID, and from there only you have been given the access. Okay, so that is why you don't need to provide your credentials and again and again. Similarly, whatever or applications that you are using in your organization, all the applications are integrated. Okay, so this is one of the benefits. Yeah. You can go through these slides. Okay, I will share, and you can go through these slides. Okay. Yeah, yeah, with that day, like when we started our Microsoft Intra ID topic, that day I told you what is the difference between Microsoft Intra ID and the Windows Server AD that we were using previously. Okay, previously we were using Windows Server Active Directory. Okay, so the main difference between Azure AD and Windows Server AD is, if we have to go for Windows Server AD service, we will have to firstly build our own infrastructure. Okay, we'll have to build a server room. We will have to have like AC maintenance, everything we will have to do. Then after that, we will have to purchase hardwares. Okay, then we'll have to do all the hardware configuration. Then on top of that hardware, we will have to install server operating system, then we can install this Active Directory domain service, and then we can do the custom domain verification for our organization, and from there we can start onboarding our users, groups, computers, and everything. Okay, that we saw in our Windows Server AD. Although we didn't purchase our hardware, but from server level we started the configuration. Okay, that is also Windows Server AD only. Okay. But when it comes to Microsoft Entra ID, you don't have to worry about the infrastructure setup at all. Okay. You don't have to build in the hardware facilities. You don't need to maintain your hardware, build a server room, or you don't need to do any configuration at the server level or at the Active Directory service level. The thing is, like, you just need to come to the Azure portal. You just need to search for Microsoft Entra ID service from the search bar of the Azure AD. Okay, uh, of the Azure portal, and from there you just need to go to your a default directory. You will get a default directory by default. Okay, and if you want to have your own branding, if you want to have your own space with your organization name, the only thing that you need to do is, like, you need to create another tenant. Okay, and what is the tenant? Tenant is your own space on the cloud. Okay. Okay, so yeah, so you and from that portal, once you are done with your custom domain verification from the GoDaddy, you can start onboarding user groups, devices, and everything. You can start adding applications from the Microsoft Entra ID gallery. Okay, there will be number of SaaS applications, third party applications that you can integrate and start giving permissions. Okay, to use those applications to your users and groups. Okay, from a single platform we can perform all these activity. Okay, and we don't need to rely on mm, any server engineer or maintenance engineer or anyone. Okay, we just need a Azure AD engineer, and he can basically set up our whole identity on the cloud. Okay, yeah, and you can go through the other benefits, other differences also. It is a basically a comparison, not the benefits sheet. Okay, so you can go through this, like, protocol, what Windows Server AD is using. It is using LDAP protocol or Kerberos protocol, and in Entra ID it is using Open ID protocol, SAML protocol. Okay, one day we'll discuss about these protocols also. Okay, yeah. And what is the structure of this Windows AD? It is like domain will be there, forest will be there. Yeah. When we were doing that ADDS lab, you must have heard the name of domain, forest, OUs, group policies. Okay. And here in Microsoft Entra ID, we don't have anything as such. Okay. Okay. We don't have the concept of domain, although we do the custom domain verification if we want to have our own identity, but here it is at larger scale. Okay, yeah. Reach, it is for on-prem network, domain join PCs only. Okay, that day you saw, no, we were joining our PC to the domain. Okay, and after joining our PC to the domain, then only that user, okay, or any user will be able to log in into the client machine. Once his system is joined to the domain network or the Active Directory domain service, then only he is eligible to log in into the client machine. But here it is not based on this principle, domain joining principle. It is internet based, any device, and from anywhere you can log in. Okay, it is not that you need to join to the domain, that only you can log in. Okay, you can log in without joining to the domain also. That is the benefit that we are having. Okay, in Windows 80 you own and maintain domain controls, but here everything is managed by Microsoft only. Okay, even patching is managed by Microsoft. Okay, yeah, yeah. A typical use Azure SaaS, and here legacy desktop login, file shares, printers, scalability in Windows Server. If you have to scale, you will have to purchase another set of hardwares, another set of server room you need to build in. And here, if you want, you can scale from your portal only. Okay, so these are few benefits. Let's go through them. Yeah, this slide is also the same. You can go through them. Yeah. So here we have few terms we already discussed, but we'll have a quick overview. So what is domain? Suppose if I talk Susma is the name of like like Susma is like a name that like she's in which department, process associate department. Now currently she's working in that department in Cognizant. Okay, so similarly, if we have to name our company, okay, and if we want to have the global presence of that organization over the internet or over the cloud, we need to have a name of that organization which is globally recognized. Okay, so so, our organization name is Cognizant. Okay, so we can't have any other organization with the same name over the internet. Okay, there can be something like Cognizant dot dot no org also they won't allow. Okay, because Cognizant is a very big organization, so they won't allow. They must have taken all the names that starts with Cognizant. Okay, but if you go for lesser known names, so like there will be some names like base small organization like Horizon Tracks. Let's take an example of that only. So there can be some similar names, but exact like both the names cannot be similar over the cloud. Okay, there will be slight difference in the naming. Okay, so what I mean to say is if you want to have your own organization's identity on the cloud, so we need to have our own domain. Okay, so domain is basically your own organization's name on the cloud environment. Okay, and once you do the verification, from where you will get this domain name, you will get these domain names from the domain providers. And what are the domain providers? It is like there are so many. There is like Namecheap, there is GoDaddy, Hostinger, and so many. From there, you can purchase the domain based on your requirement. And you will have to also check whether that domain name is available on the cloud or not, or on the internet or not. Then they will provide you the domain, and you need to do the custom domain verification, and that domain will be assigned to you. And then you can start using that domain for your organization's identity over the internet. Okay. And what next? What is tenant? Tenant is our own space on the Azure cloud. Okay, domain is the name of our organizations on the cloud, and tenant is the space of our organization, or you can say of our tenant is the space of our of our domain. Okay, it is the space of our domain on the Azure cloud. Okay, and subscription, it tells who is paying for that space. Okay, so I hope you people are able to link between domain, tenant, and subscription. Domain is the name for our organization on the internet. Tenant is the space of our domain on the internet, and subscription is like who is paying for that space over the internet. Okay, so let's come to the next slide. Okay, so you can go through this diagram once. Okay, so see, we have taken one domain with the name of contoshow.com. And when we like that day also I showed you people when we are creating our Azure account, so we are getting one domain, one default directory we are getting from Azure. Okay. If you want to use that default directory, you can use, but mostly organization never prefer to go with the default directory of the Microsoft. Why so? Because they are using contoso.on microsoft.com. Okay, if your organization name is suppose Cognizant, so it will give you name something like cognizant.on Microsoft. So for organization, it doesn't look good. Okay, because they have money, they can buy their own domain, they can have their own identity. So they don't want to go with these domain names. These are for labs, it is fine. Like we got, and like I created my account with the name of gauravanand2200 at the rate outlook.com. Okay, so it gave me the domain name with gauravanand2200 at the rate outlook.coms, and on microsoft.com also it has added. Okay, so if I am creating any user account, the same on microsoft.com is also coming up. Okay, you must have observed that. If you want, I can show you also. If I go to manage, if I go to users, so see, if I go to, okay, let's go to Ashwini's user account. See, what is the user principal name that she is getting? Ashwini at the rate Gaurav122 Outlook dot on Microsoft.com. Okay, if we do the custom domain verification and everything, she will get something like Ashwini at the rate cognizant.com or contoshow.com, for example. Okay, so we need to have our own directory first. Okay, then we can directory. When I say directory, it is same only. We need to have our own domain first. Then we can build our users with that user principal name. Okay, yeah. So you can go through this slide, and if you get any doubts, you can ask. And this is our tenant, and within this tenant, we are assigning the subscription. Yeah, you can go through this features of Microsoft Entra ID. We have discussed this so many times. Okay, yeah, Microsoft Entra ID licensing. Yeah, that one. Yeah, we discussed now one day what are the different types of licenses that we have in Microsoft Entra ID. So that day we discussed about free tier. So in free tier, what we are getting, you can go through this point. Okay, and we have P1 tier also. What we are getting in P1, and see how what is the cost for the P1 license. If you are giving P1 license to an user, it will be costing you $6 per user per month. Okay, and the benefits that you will be getting is, okay, whatever free, whatever is included in free, that you will obviously get. Along with that, what you will get these future conditional access, hybrid identity, SSPR. Okay, and the next is P2 license. The cost of P2 license is $9 per user per month. Okay, and everything whatever is there in P1 is there, and some additional features are also there. And we have one more, that is governance license. Okay, and it is provided, it is add on to P1 or P2. It is not that this is another type of license. It is like you can take P1 plus governance. Okay, if you want to have some additional features like entitlement management, life cycles workflow, advanced access certification. Okay, so if you want to avail this set of services, okay, we'll discuss about these services also. So if you want to avail this, so you can go for P1 plus governance or P2 plus governance. Okay, yeah. So in interview, they might ask you like your organization is using which type of licensing tier for your Microsoft Entra ID. So you need to mention. You can mention my, like, mostly like we will be using P2 tier licenses, because in organization they don't have that much of budget constraints. Okay, they want to have all the features enabled. They want to use all the features of Microsoft Entra ID. So they will go for this P2 licenses. For our free we are using for our lab purpose only. Okay, because for each users $6 for us it is a big amount. For organization it is not a big issue. Okay, yeah, you can go through these slides. Okay, so yeah, uh, okay. Now let's come to another one. Okay, so we also discussed about default directory. Yeah, now also we discussed and yeah. So what do we mean by default directory? Once we create our account on Azure, okay. Once we create our account on Azure, we get a default directory. Default directory is given by Azure to use and see like how we can manage users, how we can create groups, how we can manage applications through Microsoft branding on Microsoft branding. Okay. So if we want to continue using the Microsoft branding, so we can continue using this default directory only for onboarding users to of our organization to cloud. Okay. Or if we want to build our own organization's identity, so then what we'll have to do? We'll have to go to this overview tab. Okay. Not this one. We'll have to go to our default directory tab. And from here, this is our default directory page. And from here, we need to go to manage tenants. Okay. And from here, we will have to click on this create tenant. Okay. So let's see. Yeah, that day also we faced an issue while creation of tenant. Okay, we'll have to they have made some changes actually. Okay, from May 1 to 2025 now they have actually disabled. Okay, we need to have at least free P1. Yeah, see here also the warning sign is coming over. Customer must own a paid license to create Microsoft Entra Workforce tenant. Okay, so we must be having at least P1 or P2 license. Okay, to create our own organization's domain. Okay, so if we want to have our domain with the name of, so at least remember this step. Okay, so we'll try to take our P1 or P2 license. Okay, we'll see how we can utilize that, but at least remember the point for now. Okay, that how do we create our own tenant, or how do we create our own company's domain on the Azure cloud or on Microsoft Entra ID. We'll go to default directory. Okay, and we'll click on manage tenants. Okay, what we'll click on manage tenants, and from here we'll click on create, and from here you will have to provide the you need to select on this Microsoft Entra ID, and on the next it will ask you the domain name, which domain that you want to create for your organization. So if suppose my organization name is cognizant.com, you can fill in the details. You can do the custom domain verification from the GoDaddy, and then what will happen? This cognizant.com will be assigned to you. If it will be available, then it will be assigned to you. Okay. And then what you can do? Once you create your domain, so what option will be coming over here? You will have your own domain name over here. Okay, like we are having one default directory and this is our domain name now. Similarly, there will be another directory that will be created with your own branding, organization's branding, and the domain name will be assigned to you. Okay, so next what will happen? You can basically from here you can switch between the domains. Okay, if you want to use your own company's domain, so you can switch from here only. You can switch between the domains. And while creation of users also, okay, if I click on this new user option, create new user option, from here also you will get that option to use your own company's domain. Okay, So like if I suppose if I'm typing Susma, okay, if I, okay, so this name is already yeah, we have created. So I'm creating Susma one. Let's take Susma one as an example. So if we are creating this user, no, so we'll get an option to select between the domain names. Okay, now since we have just one domain with like which is provided by the Microsoft Entra ID, okay, for free for trial purpose. This one we have for now. That's why it is giving us just one option. If we will have another domain also now, that is registered through GoDaddy, that option also we will get, and then we can create our users with that domain name. Okay, so that they can log in with their company's identity. Okay, so this is how we create domains and we link our own domain.